It didn't swish. It didn't. You'd think it would swish. Finally, we can answer the question: who was wrong in Acrimony? The answer is anyone who watched the movie. Anybody who watched the movie is the answer. You shake my nerves and you rattle my brain. Too much love drive a man insane. You break my will and you give me a thrill. Goodness gracious, great ball of fire. Unprecedented snowstorms in Texas have resulted in massive power outages over the American state when residents need it the most. I didn't know that BPL was going international. In Australian news, publishers and tech giants like Facebook and Google are at odds over the platforms making money from news content but not sharing the revenue. Things came to a head on Thursday when Facebook decided to block all Australian news from their platforms rather than pay. Because of course, what's the worst thing that could happen when a billionaire accused of being a sociopath whose top Google search is Mark Zuckerberg a robot, controls what news you can and cannot see based on how much money it makes his company. In other Australian news, this year's Australian Open was a bittersweet one when Naomi Osaka defeated her childhood hero, Serena Williams, again in the semifinals. Now, this is the part where I would pretend to care about tennis, but I don't. And you don't. And you know how I know that you don't? Naomi beat Serena in the semifinals. Who did she beat in the finals? This was the women's match. Who won the men's match? Does men's tennis actually exist, or is it like a made-up thing that white men tell their wives so they could go out and see their mistresses? At the end of the day, all we really care about is Queen Serena, the Crown Princess Naomi, and whenever Duchess Coco takes over. Then we'll care about her as well. Local news. In local news, a lot of things have happened since we last spoke. We learned that the BPC exploratory drilling didn't find enough oil for the well to be commercially viable. But I have a feeling that their bank accounts are commercially viable. We learned that the Ministry of Health has a backup plan for the storage of the AstraZeneca vaccine, which requires refrigeration. So, a backup plan for BPL. I assume that they're going to keep vials of the vaccine in Hubert Minnis' chest because he's a cool lord, you see. We also learned that I was going to have the healthiest Valentine's Day ever. Not a candy, not a sweetie. Only Zedness and Cheesecake Heaven love me. Here's a shot of the prize I won from their competition last week. But none of those things are what we're going to talk about. I want to talk about the fact that it's election season. Sorry, I'm supposed to sing it. It's election season. Bim! The people tired of the government. Bim! And while all sorts of nominations for candidates are being put out, there are a couple whose nomination seems shaky. There is no way that I would make fun of somebody not being picked. Maybe they will get a nomination. I just want to dedicate a song to tell them to keep their heads up. Say something, I given up on you. I'm sorry that I couldn't vote for you. Anywhere I probably wouldn't follow you. Say something, I given up on you. We have with us Jason Styles, which is a very cool name.
How you doing?
I'm doing well.
That's good.
So tell us who you are, Jason, what it is that you do.
I am originally from Exuma, Bahamas, the beautifulest island in the Bahamas.
A little plug there.
Currently at the University of the Bahamas. I am a lecturer. I've been there for approximately 8 years. My research the concentration is in human resource development, human resources, and also cultural values.
So you're the perfect person to talk to. After reading the comments by the president of AID, many Bahamians they feel that he's expecting too much from what could be seen as like basic entry level positions like cashier and store clerk. So the question then is, should only smart people make money? At least that's the question it came to my mind.
Based off the comments that the CEO made, he's entitled to his opinion and so on based off running the business. But it's a double-edged sword too, because some of those individuals possibly have disabilities in those areas. They might not possibly say they can't read or they can't do math, but they possibly have disabilities as in, okay, just need some accommodations that could help them. And, you know, he could also focus on other skill sets that could actually help the company get to where it is, you know.
How smart do I have to be to get a decent pay in my own country? And then the inverse of that is, are we then saying if a person does not meet my academic requirements, then they don't deserve like a living wage?
I always had a statement in our country as in, it doesn't matter what you know, it's who you know. And which it's kind of it's kind of discouraging. It is discouraging because it's like, now, do I agree they should raise minimum wage? Yes. And eventually that still needs to be talked about and discussed, and decisions need to be made. As Bahamians, they're natural entrepreneurs. You know, basically with the pandemic, let's look at the pandemic. You need money. Individuals they're going into businesses where they never been in. But once you get on the job and they're paying you minimum wage, you have to understand that this is not the end result. You have to look at life and you have to look at things and stay positive and say, hey, this is the way I start. This is not where I'm going to end up.
If we are going to decide basically the worth of individuals based on academics, I would just like it to be the same across the board. So can we hope for like a standardized entrance exam for like CEOs, for politicians, anybody who makes over $50,000 a year? You have to sit essentially an adult version of the BGCSEs in order to get that far up.
If you were to transfer that to making, say, CEOs or particular politicians and so on, you know, that's an interesting question. What will happen? Do you think a lot of those politicians or CEOs will actually be CEOs or politicians?
You asking me personally? No, I don't think so. You know what you're talking about. I would make an HR joke, but, you know, seeing as though I work for myself, it's difficult. I don't have an HR. It's just me. I really can't complain about myself to myself. Like, my boss doesn't listen. But thank you once again.
I appreciate it, Mr. Arnold.
So, picture this. You're home alone on Valentine's Day because no one loves you and you've resigned your fate to die alone. You're watching YouTube because your ex-girlfriend finally changed the password to her Netflix, and this is all you have. Ramen noodles and YouTube. Bam! You're assaulted with a constant stream of political ads. Your only reprieve is when BPL cuts out the power. Either you've died and found yourself in the ninth circle of hell, or it's election season in the Bahamas. Some say it's the same thing. One thing that we can expect from election season is a dirty campaign. After all, election season is a magical time in a politician's life, when suddenly he discovers the difference between right and wrong, as long as we're talking about the other guy being wrong and not him. The question is, did you guys see this?
FNM is running a garbage campaign filled with garbage juice lies.
Garbage juice. Delicious. The PLP's media liaison, Latrey Ramming, claims that his party doesn't use secret groups or surrogates on Facebook to attack political opponents, and all of their negative ads come directly from the PLP's page. And the PLP are claiming that there are at least 11 pages like PLP is for change that are secretly F&M. In response, the F&M is saying that there are fake pages and groups that are secretly PLP, like Deep Throat Bahamas. Remember Deep Throat? They used to attack Candia Dames and put out fake movie posters, like the one that said Dumb and Dumber, and it was Hubert Minnis and Dwayne Sands, and they were active up until November 2020. Then they had the good sense to hide the account from the public, just in time for the POP to suddenly discover the high road. But, you know, the internet. Nothing ever really goes away if you know what you're looking for. Now, in fairness, the F&M chairman, Carl Culmer, got into a heated argument with himself on Friday where he both denied and defended the reasons why such F&M pages should exist.
We do not support those type of actions from anyone.
All right, let me ask you about this. You've been asking.
Now, bear one thing in mind. One thing in mind, though. You know, there's some of us who from that school of thought that says you're going to hit me once, you hit me twice, but you hit me 3 times, but you're going to be in a fight.
All right, so that takes everything back there.
Right.
That
No,
sounds.
I just want you to know.
That's what it sounds like.
As far as we take it as you wish, my friend.
Oh dear.
However, I am here as a herald of truth and justice. There's garbage juice on both sides. Now, I wish I could say garbage juice was just simply the ads, but both parties have invested millions of dollars and years of human life into cultivating not Capri Sun-sized garbage juice members and candidates, but like 5-gallon jugs. The worse the political party, the more garbage juice there is to squeeze, which brings us back to it being election season. Bim! Like many media personalities, I am totally willing to sell out and make as much blood money as humanly possible before the ulcers and cries from orphan children whose food assistance has been cut off so that some idiot can be overpaid almost $100,000 a year to let a permanent secretary be bad at their job, keep me up at night. I am in a wonderful position. I hate both parties, and I can trash talk either of them. So, PLPs and F&Ms, send me some of that sweet, untraceable election slush fund. No doubt, pilfered from the purses of a pensioner stalwart counselor or somebody whose family probably owned slaves. And let me say the bad things that everyone else already knows about you. Let's start the bidding at $5,000 per 30 seconds of insults. I have enough prepared insults on the F&M to get me a condominium at Albany. I have enough insults on the PLP to buy me a small key off of Exuma. Please, call now. No t-shirt to give with money inside. Hey guys, here in the empty abyss that is my classroom. You like what you see? Feel free to share and like and subscribe on all the platforms. Also, you know, if you want to help buy me atmosphere, if you like what you see, feel free to donate on Ko-fi. And also, I have something special planned since election time is coming up. And, well, we may or may not be out of COVID by the time that is called. So, you know, help me to produce the greatest election show ever. More information to come.